To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Actually, we want to use out. Hey, Jay, yes. Brian. We got speakers first. I'll be there in a second. All right, so for our speaker this evening, one of my favorite people to work with of all time. I hope you guys really enjoyed hearing from him. Jason Ecker from Career Services is here to talk a little bit about employment opportunities, I would assume, for graduates, as well as current statistics. As always, please give him your undivided attention. We're pulling up a PowerPoint now. As soon as that's up, we'll get going. Thanks.
Should I use the mic streaming or whatever you know? Yeah, okay. You want to hold it or we can put it up there? Okay. Good evening, and welcome to the official start of the SGA Senate meeting. If we haven't met, my name is Jason Ecker, and I serve as the Executive Director of Career Services, and I want to thank SGA for inviting me this evening to be the guest speaker. I'll be brief. It sounds like there is quite a bit going on right now in terms of Senate business, so but I do appreciate the invitation. I want to begin by thanking each and every one of you. I was able to watch the end of that conversation and realize you're handling some pretty tricky situations. I want to thank you for serving your constituents and the entire student body. And by the way, your involvement in SGA really should be one of the highlights of your resume, one of the highlights of your LinkedIn profile. And I hope that you're preparing for the job search and to apply to graduate school for some of you, that you're reflecting upon what you've done as either a senator or a member of the executive board here with SGA, and you're focusing on that because you make a big difference in our campus, and what you do looks very impressive, and in fact, of course, is impressive in terms of you selling yourself to future employers. So a little bit about us. I won't read through everything on the slide behind me. We do provide career education to the flyer community from your date of admission all the way through retirement. So if you need assistance 10 years from now, we're going to be there to help. If you have friends who are considering coming to UD, we love helping to recruit the incoming first-year class and also new grad students. So keep that in mind, and on the screen you can see a lot of our common services, and I'll go over 4 of those here quickly in these slides. So we're known for 4 primary things on campus, and by the way, I welcome questions. I'm trying to go quickly this evening, but if you have questions, please raise your hand, stand up, jump in. I'd love to entertain those during the course of the next 15 minutes. So we are known for 4 things, those being career development, helping with career counseling, and helping everyone figure out their major and their place, their location in terms of where you may fit into the world. Student employment, I'll talk about that. We are the home of the Student Employment Office. Employment services, helping everyone connect with employers and hopefully be hired at the time of graduation. And then we love tracking the outcomes of the University of Dayton degree program, and we do provide the annual Flyer First Destination Survey for the campus. So I mentioned career development. We do have staff members assigned to every major on campus, including to those of you who may be in graduate school. We do provide career assessments, so if anyone in the room is still in a Discover major, we'd love to help you, or if you have friends who are still figuring out, hey, what are my skills, what am I good at doing, how can I apply a major to my future, we love having those conversations, and we do offer career assessments, some of which are available on our webpage already, such as the Focus exam. And as I mentioned, we do have a team of advisors who do specialize in your academic major. By the way, we have daily drop-in hours. Does anybody know what time the drop-in hour? Yes.
Noon to 3.
How do you know that?
Been there a lot.
Well, I hope that was helpful. Thank you for sharing that. So, what's your name? I can't quite read.
Olivia.
As Olivia said, we have daily drop-in hours every weekday when classes are in session from noon until 3. For some reason, this is advancing, so if I go back, I apologize. But come on into the Alumni House on L Street. We're located right across the street from Holy Angels Church and School. Every weekday between noon and 3, there are drop-in hours. Or, of course, anyone can make an appointment with me or any of my colleagues in the office by using the handshake system. So I mentioned employment services. We are the office that tries to help connect you to where you want to work in the future. We do bring in employers for things like on-campus interviews and career fairs. We do provide the handshake system for the campus that helps both while you're on campus, looking at on-campus employment, and also, of course, having employers who are posting jobs for graduating students, alumni, and those of you looking for internships, and also co-op roles for those of you who are considering co-oping now or in the future. Our big news is that we just opened a second building for career services. If you've walked down L Street, or maybe if you have class in Fitz Hall, I'm sure you've seen the construction. Immediately to the left of the hill of our office in the Alumni House, we have built this beautiful new building through some fundraising and some support from the university. The building is called the Employer Engagement Center, and it consists of 9 private interview suites where off-campus employers can come and interview students for internships, co-op roles, and of course full-time jobs. It's also being used by quite a few on-campus departments. So for example, if any of you have friends or if you yourself applied to be a neighborhood fellow or an RA for next year, all the interviews were held in the last month in the Employer Engagement Center. We're also hosting some interviews for dining services, and we're hosting all of the desk receptionist interviews coming up through housing. So this facility is available for your use. If ever you have an employer asking you to take part in a Zoom, a Skype, a FaceTime, or a phone remote interview, we have rooms available in the Employer Engagement Center. Simply contact our office, and you can reserve a nice suite that has an amazing high-def camera, and you can take part in that Skype interview, that Zoom interview right in our office. The nice thing about that is, if you use your own technology, there's always the risk of your roommate coming in and making a scene, your pet coming in and making some noise, maybe the tech has some issues for streaming. These are all wired units, and so you have a great connection between you and that off-campus employer in the Employer Engagement Center. I mentioned Handshake a little bit. Hopefully you're familiar with Handshake through working on campus or looking at other job postings, but it is the job search system of record on campus. We also are the home of student employment. How many of you currently work on campus for the university? That's great. That's probably half the room, if not more. In the average year, the university hires 3,000 students. And first of all, I'm very grateful that we are able to do that. And I'm also excited because working on campus can help you build your resume, build your LinkedIn profile, and help prepare you for things like off-campus internships. We do, of course, have people come in every day to fill out new hire paperwork. So if you work on campus, you probably came in to give us your tax paperwork, your I-9 authorization to work form, your direct deposit form. We do all that in the Alumni House. Finally, we are the office that collects the first destination information from each graduating class, and we track that for all majors, no matter if you are an undergrad, a master's student, a doctoral student. And until this week, with the economy somewhat taking a bit of a turn with the virus fears, the economy has been doing great for graduating students. We produce reports that look like this. This report and all of its cousins are available on the Career Services webpage. I did not bring paper copies in part to save on some paper. If you would like the full set of these handouts, feel free to email me and I will send them to you. They're also available on the Career Services webpage under Statistics. As you can see on this graphic behind me, when you look at all graduating undergraduate students from the class of 2019, so our recent graduates from last year, 97% of our grads found professional success in their area of choosing within 6 months of graduation. Now, some schools have a survey like this that's based upon a very low response rate. We actually had an 89% response rate to our survey. So we were able to track down and hopefully help almost 9 out of 10 graduating undergrads last year, and we offer all of you the same level of service and support in the room today. You can see from the handout here where the grads have gone, what they're doing. So about 2/3 of them are employed in an area of their choosing. Over 1 in 4 are attending a full-time master's, graduate, medical school, law school, grad type program. 2% are in a volunteer or service program, so a lot of our grads are attracted to programs like the Peace Corps, AmeriCorps, Teach for America. Certainly those are successes. A small number of grads are in a post-grad internship. Some of those are enrolled in our dietetics major, where you're required to do that as part of graduation. 1% are in military service. Those are largely the ROTC, students on campus, and the 7 for personal interests were adult learners who were stay-at-home dads and moms who weren't looking for a job upon graduation. All this information is available on our webpage, and I've got a few more slides on that because the data is interesting. So as I mentioned, the overall numbers. What I'm very proud of, though, is that a lot of people think, okay, our business school has the highest success rate, or the engineering school must have the highest success rate. When you look across the board, each of the units had a success rate of at least 97%, and the highest was actually the School of Education and Health Sciences. If you are in a health sciences or a teacher education major, your success rate last year was 99%. There's a real strong demand right now for hiring teachers and hiring anyone working in the healthcare industry. If you are a grad student, we also track that information. Our graduating master's and doctoral students had a success rate of 96% based upon a very strong knowledge rate or response rate of 80%. And we do break this down by program, but I won't show you those slides here because you would turn off the live stream and say, Jason, could we please keep this going? Salary data. Anyone want to take a guess? What do you think the average University of Dayton undergraduate student earned coming out of school last year? Yes, sir?
55.
55?
Yeah, 55,000.
Very close. A little lower. It was 52,042. Now that's the number for every graduating undergraduate put in one bucket and then averaged. That number was up by almost $2,000 or 4.3% compared to the class of 2018. So while all of our grads are almost equally successful when you look at the numbers, their salary does vary. So look at the overall number. The number for arts and sciences was $42,826. For business, $52,201, so right on the school average. We need to pay our teachers more money across our society. The average starting salary for education and health sciences was $39,011. And then leading the way, the School of Engineering had an average starting salary of $62,382. And I saw those fist bumps. Engineers are certainly in demand, and you can see that in the salary numbers. We also track where the graduates go. I can tell you every single employer who hired at least one graduate from the class of 2019. And we'd also like to talk about who hired the most. So the combination of the University of Dayton and UDRI hired the most with 22. Those are largely engineers who went to work for UDRI upon completing a bachelor's degree. Followed by the Air Force, AmeriCorps, that volunteer program. GE continues to be our largest corporate employer, and they have been for many, many years. The Army, Crown Equipment, you can see the rest on the list here. One interesting fact is that more employers hire 1 or 2 of our graduates than hire 15 or 16 or 18. So when you think about how water flows, that's where our graduates' talent go. Wherever there's a need, you'll see employers hiring 1, 2, or 3 flyers. Very few employers hire 6 or more based upon the slide you can see here. We also ask other questions. So we ask, is my first position within the field I want to go into. Almost 90% of undergrads said that it was. 7.3% said that it was in a related area, and only 2.8% said they were working outside of their chosen field. And we take a lot of pride in that. And some people do take a step or two to get to their ideal job, but these numbers are very positive. Of those who were employed, 96.7% were working in a full-time position. Are there any questions about any of that data or our services that I can clarify for you? And I've got a couple of events to plug that you might be interested in. Yes?
So for the opportunity in which you can have a room to Skype or talking, is there a reservation system and how would you go about that?
So we're actually working on an online system. If it's tomorrow, simply call our office. Our extension is 2045, or email us and we'll reserve that. Because there are 9 rooms, we haven't had a problem with them all being booked every hour. Great question. Yes?
I've heard that, I haven't seen the statistics, I've heard the law school has made major improvements over the past couple of years. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I can try. So the only area of campus that I'm not responsible for is the law school. So the School of Law has their own 3-person career services office. They also use Handshake, they also use our same systems, but the law school has their own career office. You are right in that they've made major strides both in terms of success rate of the grads and bar passage rates, but I don't have those committed in memory because I don't directly serve our law graduates. Yes?
So I saw that 3 out of our 4 schools, their starting salaries on average is lower than the cost of tuition with room and board here at UD. Is there any ideas on how we can get kids into higher paying professions or something like that from a career services perspective?
I'd be happy to chat offline too, because that could be a whole 3-hour workshop. Salary is an interesting thing because part of our goal is helping grads get where they want to be. Now, I don't know any grads who want to earn less money, right? So even if they want to work for a nonprofit, they all want to be paid to the highest possible dollar and be compensated fairly. For better or worse, certain occupations pay more coming out. We're pretty close to national averages for most of our areas. For some engineering, we tend to be even a little bit above what our peers are earning. Cost of living is a big part of that as well, because if a lot of our grads are working in Ohio and Indiana and Illinois, except for Chicago, the cost of living is cheaper than it is in New York City or in more urban areas like in California. So I always encourage our grads to take the biggest possible offer they can. We do a lot of work with salary negotiation, in particular focusing on encouraging all students to negotiate salary, because some take the first offer without a whole lot of thought. But we can talk more about that offline. And you're right, the cost of education, a lot of our grads are earning less than they may have paid as a senior or a junior to attend the university. But thank you for the question. Yes?
Do you statistics for like 5 years down the road where you send out another poll and see, have the number of people who have wanted to go to each other? Because like you said, roughly like 10% aren't in their like specifically field that they want to be in. So do you have like stats for like 5 years or 10 years down the road, and also like median or the income?
In terms of salary?
Yeah.
So at this time, we only track graduates for the first 6 months. Part of it is just a staffing issue because it takes a lot of time. We call every graduate that we don't hear from. So if you're graduating this year and you complete our survey, you have my eternal gratitude. If you don't complete the survey, we're going to call you repeatedly and then also even try to get a hold of people you know, your parents, to say, we're trying to reach this grad. How are they doing? How can we help? And if you have a job, if you are in grad school, we take that survey. There are some resources that can show the data, and the data is more encouraging long-term for arts and sciences and education majors. There is a service that we don't partner with, but is publicly available called, of course you forget the name of it when you're speaking in front of 40 amazing people. I believe the survey is PayScale. You can email me and I can look it up for sure. They report salary from a number of sources, and they have access to where people went to school, and you can look out and see what does the University of Dayton grad earn 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road. We don't provide that, but the data in PayScale is pretty accurate. Thank you for the question. Great questions tonight. Okay, a few quick plugs and I'll pass the mic back over. Upcoming events, are any of you teacher education or school counseling students? Are you a senior?
I'm a junior.
Okay, so we have an event, if you're interested in checking it out, it's really for graduating students in teacher education, school counseling, school psychology. This Tuesday is the education interview day. It's a combination of an education career fair with real interviews. The event is sold out in terms of our tabling. There are 56 school districts coming from all over the region, and that's coming up on Tuesday beginning at 8:30 in the morning at Kern Place. If any of you want to learn more about working for Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, we're sponsoring an event that we do every semester called UD2 Wright-Pat or UD2WP. That information is available in Handshake, and the trip this semester is coming up on March 26th. And we have had graduates earn jobs through networking that happened during this trip each semester. Once again, UD2 Wright-Pat coming up on March 26th. We do provide shuttles for that from campus over to the Air Force Base. We have a government contracting job fair in partnership with the law school, speaking of our friends in the law school. That's coming up on April 29th, and it is at Kern Place from 1 until 5. If you'd like to work for the government or work in the field of contracting, it's a really good event to go to right before graduation. And then finally, our students and our alumni have called upon us to do more for people who want to end up outside of the immediate Dayton area. We do an annual career fair now in Chicago every January. Anybody from Chicago in the room today? A couple in the gallery, it looks like. We always offer a career fair in Chicago the week before the spring semester begins. This year we have 33 employers and about 160 students come to that event. We are for the first time piloting a Cleveland career fair on May 21st. Are there any people from Northeast Ohio or Cleveland in the room? Love to see you. It's going to be at a hotel, I think it's Independence, Ohio. Is that a suburb just south of Cleveland? Okay, someone's nodding. Okay. So information Handshake, that's coming up on May 21st. It's an afternoon event. We're hoping it'll attract either recent grads that are still looking or underclass students that are planning for the future or still looking for a late internship. Any other final questions for wrapping up? So I couldn't bring my entire team, but they wanted to say hello. So thank you for all you do for campus as our Student Government Association. If you have any questions, I'm easy to find. Once again, my name is Jason Eckert, and thank you once again for your time.
All right, thank you so much, Jason. At this time, we do have two special request funding pieces of legislation that will come before you all during the Senate floor, and we have two organizations here to present about those funding requests. So first, we're going to hear from Outdoor Adventure Club. So, Jack, whenever you're ready. Bridget, whenever you're ready. Come on up.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Bridget Graham, and as I said, I'm part of Outdoor Adventure Club. I am the treasurer here at UD. I'm coming before you today to request $550 in special funding for wilderness first aid training for our exec team members. So if you don't know much about OAC, our purpose is to inspire a passion for the outdoor lifestyle and land stewardship at our UD campus. We have over 817 registered members on 1850 and host over a dozen camping trips each year at little to no cost to our members. This year, however, our exec team is currently in transition with a lot of our team graduating and underclassmen taking over. Our ideal each year is for at least a majority of the executive team to be certified in wilderness first aid so that there are multiple people on each trip equipped to deal with any potential emergencies that might happen. The cost for 2 people to become wilderness first aid certified is $550, which we are requesting to be covered by special funding. Currently, the plan is for myself and Creative Director Jill Parker to receive the training, and we will both continue to serve on the OAC exec team for the foreseeable future, so we wouldn't have to have another person trained until late 2021. Our trip leaders are already conscious to do everything in their power to prevent injuries and dangers on trips, But in the case of emergency, it is always important that our team be self-sufficient when help isn't readily available. Safety is always, always, always the first thing on our minds during the trips, and this training would enable us to help keep making sure that the members of our community we take on trips are in safe hands, and to make sure nothing that we could be held liable for happens. Yeah?
I got 2 questions. So is there a expiration date for the certification? Is it going to expire?
Yes, so it lasts 2 years, but all of our exec team members would be graduated by then.
And also, so far, how many people do you guys have like currently that is certified?
So right now we have 3 members of our team. 2 of them are graduating, and then 1 of them will be with us the next year. So we would like 2 more.
Okay, sounds good.
How many people are in the club?
So we have 812 registered members on 1850, and so that's the general club. And then the first sign-ups for trips go out to paying members, which this semester I want to say there are about 75.
When do you elect your exec board?
We elect our exec board based on a rotating basis on when people graduate. So I was chosen by the exec team last semester when there was no treasurer. So whenever an opening comes up.
So is there anyone on the exec team that would be here longer than 2021?
Yes, me and the current trip leader will be here until 2022, and our training would last until then.
About how many people go on trips?
We normally shoot for a range of 15 to 20 people on each trip.
So I guess consider going forward to get the most bang for your buck, making sure the person receiving this training is going to be here for about 2 years.
Yes, so at least one of us will be here for 2 years, and then I am the only other sophomore on the trip on the exec team, and then the other one will be here for at least 1.
About how many trips per semester do you take where this would come handy influence?
So we take, it depends on the fall and spring semester, but around 6 trips each, so that's a dozen a year, and all of them are at least on hiking where anything could happen, and these would come in handy. All right, thank you so much.
So are there only, so you and the creative director, are those the only 2 sophomores on the exec team as of right now?
So there's 1 more sophomore on the exec team who's here, Pepper Cantwell, and she already has wilderness first aid training.
Okay, thank you.
Let's give Bridget 1 more round of applause. So our second and final special request presentation this evening comes from the Society of Women Engineers. And then Jake, could I have your help pulling up the presentation?
Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Rock. I'm the current president of UD chapter of Society of Women Engineers.
And I'm Stephanie Zielinski, and I'm a current active member of the Society of Women Engineers.
So the reason for our funding request is we're attending the We Local Conference in Buffalo, New York. The Society of Women Engineers holds local conferences every spring. They're all over the United States. There's some in Europe. There's actually one in India this year, and we decided that the one in Buffalo, New York would be the one closest to us. So It's a great conference. I've been to 2 of them so far. It's just about networking. You go to a lot of sessions that involve what it's like to be a female in the workforce, how to tackle some of the adversities that come along with that. There's a career fair that a lot of our students get jobs and internships out of, and just general support for female roles in engineering.
Well, a little more information regarding our trip. We are requesting an amount of $1,500 from the Special Request Fund. Our conference dates are March 27th through the 28th, but we will be leaving UD campus at 4:30 p.m. in order to get to Buffalo, New York in time for the conference to start. And we will be returning late Saturday at 11 p.m. March 28th. The number of students that are attending this conference this year are 12. We will be taking Enterprise minivans, and we will be staying in the hotel for 2 nights, so the UD Suite chapter are providing 2 meals for us.
So the contributing factors for this request is that in 1850, we have over 300 student members registered, and the issue is that actively involved members is less than 20. We have a really hard time getting involvement in Suite, and that goes directly with the number of women engineering programs that there are on campus. There is WISE, which is the Women in Science and Engineering program, which they have a living learning community up in Stewart, and they have a house on Irving. So students are involved in that, and it's a UD program. And then there's WGP, which is the Women Engineering program, which is also a whole UD program, and it's every female engineer is automatically involved in that program. They automatically get the emails. And a lot of the students get confused when they go to events, and they don't realize what event they're going to for which program. So I've had a lot of students talk to me, and they say, oh, I've gone to the SWE events, and it wasn't a SWE event, it was a WISE event, or it was a WEP event, and it's hard to distinguish. So the big factor of these conferences is that we take students and they see what SWE is. They see what SWE is outside of UD, that it's something bigger than UD, that it will follow you once you graduate. It's this support network that's really awesome to have. Another contributing factor to this is that we want to get underclassmen involved. We want to bring in that underclassmen in class and get them to boost our numbers of involvement. The first year students are especially important because they were not permitted to attend our trip to the national conference in the fall. It has to do with there's no posted grades, and we can't confirm that they're approved to travel with us. So this is really important for them. Out of the 12 people attending, 7 of them are freshmen, which is really awesome. We really want them to get involved in SWE and hope that they learn the difference so they can distinguish what events they're going to here on campus, and hopefully tell their friends that, hey, no, that's SWE, this is WEP, and get that distinguishing out there. Thank you for your time and consideration. Do you guys have any questions?
Would the $1,500 request cover all the costs of students going against
So we asked the students to cover the cost of their own, attendance fee for the conference, and if they had to sign up to be a paying member of SWE through the actual organization. So it was $100 to go to conference, and then $50 if you're actually going to be a paying member of SWE. So a lot of students, especially freshmen, had to pay $150. So that was quite a bit out of pocket already.
So then this is for the hotel?
Yeah, this is for the hotel, the travel, the minivans, and then the meals we were talking about is just we wanted to provide meals as we were traveling because we thought that would be easiest.
I'm not sure if organizations can do this or not, but did you guys look into renting one of the vans? One of the
I know exactly.
I don't know if organizations can do that or not.
We tried to. There were a couple. I know the KU vans were hard because I think that's a 50-mile radius, and then there's the campus ministry vans had issues in the fact that there's some retreats going on the weekend that we're going. So, so we tried. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to move into normal order here in terms of set floor. So, Kat, whenever you're ready, could you take the roll, please? Thank you.
President Brockett.
Here.
Vice President Call.
Director Brill.
Here.
Director Pearson.
Here.
Senator Pedravi.
Here.
Senator Stewart. Senator Lanham. Here. Senator Needham.
Here.
Senator Afori. Here. Senator Hubert.
Here.
Senator Loneman. Senator McCabe. Here. Senator Mooney. Here. Senator Blau.
Present.
Senator Senator Davies.
In attendance.
Senator Garvin. Senator Hennessy. Senator Gordon. Oh gosh. Senator Gibo. All right, there are 18.
Thank you so much, Kat. At this time, are there any public announcements this evening? Chris.
Thank you to those of you who have already submitted nominations for the Student Leadership Awards. I have extended the deadline to March 3rd, so please make sure if you are interested in recognizing a student leader, an advisor of one of your other clubs or organizations, or or student organization that you work with or are part of, please make sure that you submit those by March 3rd.
Thanks so much, Chris. Thank you. Any other public announcements this evening? Senator Ford.
Yeah, so like I said in the Slack a few weeks ago, the Career 2020 is still looking for 2 chairs, entertainment and facilities. The entertainment part is kind of like already put together for you because the conference is like 2 months away. So if you want to be involved in that or if you want to volunteer, contact Lauren. Aside with that, SGA has given them money for the Fly Together initiative. We only had 15 people like apply for that, so we are giving you guys most of the money back.
Awesome. Is that all, Bridget?
Yeah.
Awesome. I highly that encourage you to join. A lot of us sitting around the room are already a part of McGurr, so if anybody else is interested in it, please let myself, Bridget, Lauren, anyone here know. Awesome. Any other public announcements this evening? Kelly.
Just really quick, the marketing committee and I had a couple table hour events just trying to get our followers up. We're almost to 1,000, so we could also spread the word, like have your friends give us a follow. I don't know if you've seen like the pizza, like a Valentine's Day, like candy. So if you see those on the stories, send people our way too. Normally in the either Kenny or Wisconsin, obviously, or the Marius lobby. So keep an eye out for us.
Thanks so much, Kelly. Public announcements this evening. Nate?
Just kind of response to that, I had a couple people ask me why SGA was handing out pepperoni pizza slices on a
That's the word for 5 cheeses.
non-meatless day. Alright, that's just what I had people asking about.
That's a false question.
Yeah, because I didn't know, I wasn't even on campus during that day, but yeah, that's what I had people asking about.
Because it was Wednesday, so we didn't choose.
Thanks so much. Any other public announcements this evening? Chris again?
T-shirts and hats are in production.
Thank you, Chris. Any other public announcements this evening? Seeing none, are there any public comments or concerns? Chris?
I will save most of my thoughts on this because it's your concern, but I have had students talking to me this week about the article in Flyer News. And one of the things that I've heard from some members is that they feel it is your constituents' responsibility to be here, to know how you are acting on their behalf, and I think that that's ridiculous, personally. You are supposed to represent your constituents, and I would hope that you would want to do that in a way that is convenient to you and them. And so expecting them to take time out of their day to come see you when we have options like our meeting minutes that are supposed to be public, and our live stream that are supposed to be public, that just doesn't seem right to me.
Thank you so much. Public comments or concerns? Tommy and Bridget, is this a concern about an SGA practice or a response to Chris?
A response to Chris, I guess.
Is that an additional public comment or
It
concern?
can be made to additional public comments.
Go for it, Tommy.
Alright, thank you. So I'd like to present the same logic, it's kind of similar. During fall and spring club fundings, all the clubs, they have to apply for the money, and they have to apply how much they want. Then we're not gonna give it to monies to the clubs who didn't apply for monies. And for special requests, they also have to came over to present. Then we're gonna give them money. The same logic applies to the records. It's all open to public. People just need to come over to show up to know how we roll. Anyway, alright, you know my time.
Are there any other public comments or concerns this evening? Bridget Moody.
I just have a question. I don't know if you guys sent them out or not, but is there any updates on like the SGA chats and if you guys issued pathways?
Oh yeah, also a question.
It's gonna be issued on Monday.
You issued more? Okay.
No, it'll be on Monday.
I thought that the last day they issued them.
There's a spreadsheet I have to go through.
I thought tonight was the last night to contact people about getting pathways if you did get them already.
I just know I have to put myself in a spreadsheet, so we'll see.
I'm gonna let Chris take that one. Chris, you have your hand.
Can I please request that as you send that spreadsheet to aviate@udayton.edu that you also copy all students, copy all students who are on it to let them know that you have sent that email?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments or concerns this evening?
This is a response to Bridget's question. The last day for Aviate to collect all pathways is the 5th of March, I believe. It's either the 5th or the 4th of March. So the pathways still should be
The first was the last day.
Okay. Roping it back in, Ryan, SGA chats are done for the year, correct?
Yes.
Can we get a big round of applause for Ryan? Everyone who helped do this. Thank you. Are there any other public comments or concerns? Seeing none, are there any SGA members who would like to give reports this evening? Senator Laffoy.
So, my advocacy project this semester was fixing the Wi-Fi. I've had multiple voicemails from UDIT about this, and we set up a meeting. But I actually don't know the problems of the Wi-Fi, so if you guys know, please contact me before I go in there and try and make it a little bit because I don't have issues with the Wi-Fi.
Bridget, please send me an email. I have a few that I can help you out. Send Tommy an email too. Just throw something out in the Slack and people will be helpful. Awesome. Any other SGA members who would like to give reports this evening? Seeing none, moving into mine. It was a busy week this past week. It's going to be a busy week this upcoming one as well. First and foremost, I wanted to let you know the meeting with Dr. Burnley that I have been talking about for a few weeks was had this past week in regards to the Inclusivity Excellence Council, which will be started up and headed by both Dr. Burnley and Dr. Pika from sociology. Just wanted to let you all know that within that council, it is slated permanently for the SGA president to be a member or an appointee. This year, since I have only a few months left, I have decided to appoint Natalie to serve on that council. So congratulations and a round of applause to Natalie. I will be kind of stepping in on those meetings, just kind of as a fly on the wall, just because it's definitely something I'm still interested in and want to be a part of. But if you have any questions, Natalie will be in that seat for the rest of the year and likely next year as well. So please reach out to her or me. This week we have an upcoming meeting with Provost Benson, myself, Tyler, and the newly appointed Director Brill over there. Should be a great meeting. If anybody has concerns about anything academic, please let James know and we can make sure that we take that to the Provost's office when we do meet with him this week. In addition, we have a meeting this week to plan senior send-off. Seniors, I would really ask if one of you or all of you would like to be there. I think it would be really helpful. I am currently scheduled to work during that meeting. I'm going to try to get out of it. I know Ryan is also going to be there, but it would be really nice to have your input in terms of what you want, what you think other seniors are looking for in this event. So please let me know. I know I talked about last week an open letter to different organizations and to the campus community involving recent acts of bias and about the issue that was about a month ago in terms of the ghetto versus the student neighborhood. Just wanted to give you all a progress update on that. Natalie and myself have finished drafting the email that will be sent out to all of the kind of first initial organizations. We also have established what those organizations are and the point people for those organizations. So they're going to be BATU, AAA, Spectrum, UD Votes, FEMUD, RHA, SAC, which is the Student Athletics Advisory Council, SGA, EOL, ASA, Student Ambassadors, the Student Alumni Association, the Public Safety Advocates, the Sustainability Student Leadership Council, and the International President's Circle. So we have that, and we are kind of waiting on some representatives of MEC to finish up the actual letter itself. We're going to send it out to those organizations, and we'll keep you posted about which organizations sign on and how we plan moving forward with the Provost's office and different academic departments. In terms of legislation tonight, there are the two that are in the pending file, but I also would encourage you all to bring back to the Senate floor the EMS funding bill that was passed this past week, or last week that was tabled. Since we tabled it last Sunday, myself and Tyler reached out to Bill Fisher and Chris Schramm, and we made sure that Chad, who's the chief of UDEMS, was included on those conversations, and we basically got Bill Fisher to take another look at the current funding model, and he's going to work with public safety in the coming weeks to make sure that they get funded adequately for that piece of equipment. It's my recommendation, and I know Jacob Trowline will agree, that we do fund them the most that we are allowed to give, in addition to those conversations that we'll be having between public safety and student life here at UD. Last but not least, I know St. Patrick's Day questions were floated on our social media. I wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you that reposted that on your story, that really took the time to get feedback. We got really, really good questions, and we got a lot of good questions. Just so you know kind of the next steps, UD is going to be working with us to shoot a video asking Chief Kidd all of those questions, and the ones that were repeated a lot, such as why can't the university just close down the street or close down the block. That video is going to be released within the next few weeks, and then we are going to send out an all-student body email a few days before St. Patrick's Day emphasizing respect, but please have fun, and we're going to include that video in on that as well. Question? Yeah.
Super formal, but people like administrations like accepted the official non-day.
So they do know about it, yes, and public safety is aware of it and will be taking precautions if need be. Great question.
Address it, say like I know it's.
Yes. Yes.
Will this video be sent out before St. Patrick's Day?
I do not know if the video will be sent out before St. Practice Day. I will reach out to Jen Clark, who's with UD Social Media, and make sure that is confirmed.
Actually, I have a question. Do we have any news on college game day, what that sort of environment is going to look like?
That's a great question. So myself, Tommy, and Kat are all on Red Scare Exec Board, and Sam, forgot about you over there. We have our meeting tomorrow, and we will definitely let you know if we need SGA in any way or if SGA can be help. If you didn't know, College Game Day is coming to the University of Dayton next week, and it's going to be amazing. Absolutely. Member of the week, shout out to Amanda, who always brightens up everyone's day and really, really loves fish. Sam Enderby So we do have a pin for you. They are on back order right now, but we should have them soon. So if you have been crowned member of the week, please come see me once those pins go in, as we have it for you. That is all. As you know, College Game Day is next week. Dick Vitale stopped by yesterday. It was a great Friday. It was a great game. Still undefeated, longest winning streak in the nation. Hopefully top 3. It'll be awesome. As always, go Flyers. Thank you so much. Tommy, can you lead us in Senate floor?
Seeing that the time is 6:53, I call Senate floor to order. The roll, please.
Director Coppolino, Director Enderby,
Here.
Director Brill, Director Pearson,
Here.
Senator Pedrati,
Here.
Senator Stewart, Senator Lana, Senator Needing,
Here.
Senator Afori, Senator Hubert, Senator Longman, Senator McCabe, Senator Mooney, Senator Glass,
Present.
Senator Davies,
Present and attentive.
Senator Garvin, Senator Hennessy, Senator Gordon, Senator Gibo. There's 19 voting members.
Thank you. Seeing we have 19 voting members, majority will be 10 and 2/3 will be 13. Is there any old business to take care of? Senator Davies.
I move to bring Senate Bill 1920-3 not to the Senate floor.
Thank you. Do we have any seconds? All in favor of? Vice President Fowler, voice please.
So basically, update as Brian sort of stated, with the EMS club, they will be able to, we're still in negotiations to get them funding through other sources, particularly like the Department of Public Safety. But at this time, the recommendation for $1,500 stands, as that is the level that we both are able to fund them at, and that isn't an amount that, I mean, they can get the rest of the funds. So we're good with that. I give my time.
Thank you. Any other questions? Senator Doyle.
Motion to fill the blank.
Is
There's been a motion to fill in the blank with what suggested dollar amount?
$2,000, please.
2,000. Any other suggested dollar amounts? Senator Neely.
3,000.
3,000. Davies.
DPS recommendation of $1,500.
Thank you. Hubert.
4,000.
Thank you. Davies.
Point of information. I believe the reason why we're only going to be funding it at $1,500 is because we believe that the administration will allocate extra funds in order to fully fund EMS's request. And I believe that it would be foolish to allocate so much money out of our budget in order to give them, if we give them $4,000, also, point of information, sorry. DPF trout line. How much money do we have left in the budget? Because I believe that is an old number.
That is an old number. The new bills have it. It is $6,245.50. And from that, plus, I think we do have more, actually, potentially. I'm sure of that. But overall, the rationale behind the $1,500 is that it's what, as of the new funding guidelines, as we have passed for the bylaws, that is the amount at which we are allowed to allocate to a maximum extent. And the other thing is we are quite certain of the organization receiving the funding from the other sources. This is not an issue that SGA has to cover the full amount or anything, because they will be able to receive their funding and will be able to do this at the $1,500 level. I yield my time.
Thank you.
I also yield my time.
Thank you. Any other suggested dollar amounts? Seeing none, we'll go into voting procedure on the amounts that appear on the bill, starting with the full $5,380. All in favor, please raise your placards. That is 3. Going down to 4,000. All in favor, please raise your placards. 2. All in favor of 3,000, please raise your placards. That is still 3. All in favor of 2,000, please raise your placards. And all in favor of 1,500, please raise your placards. Seeing that a majority, that is the amount that appear on the bill. Any other point for motion? Senator Davis.
I move to the previous question.
For the motion to the previous question, do we have a second? There's a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Going into voting procedure on Senate Bill 934-39. All in favor, please raise your placards at this time. All opposed? All abstained. Any other old business to take care of? Seeing none, any new business? Senator Davies.
I move to bring Senate Bill 1920-47 to the Senate floor.
Thank you. Do we have any seconds? There's a second, Vice President Brown.
So this is the request that we have heard today from the Society of Women Engineers, and I believe that their presentation has provided additional context with which I can give a updated recommendation of $1,500. They are sending 12 students, which fits with our $250 per student allocation. Wait, does it? Question mark. One sec. Yes. Yes, it does. I'm sorry, my bad. Yeah. So because of that, just because of our funding guidelines, I believe that is my recommendation. That's what I think we should put in that.
Thank you. Any other points of motion? Senator Lamb.
Motion to bill.
There's been a motion to bill in life. What's suggested dollar amount?
The recommendation of $1,500.
Thank you. Any other suggested dollar amount? Senator Glow.
I'll second with his recommendation as well.
Thank you. Any other suggested dollar amount? Senator Davies.
A point of information for my support of DPS, $1,500. As they said in the presentation, that each member gave $100, and then the first years gave $50, which was their cost to join the organization. And doing the math, that means that they contributed $1,550 to this trip, which is more than half of the total cost of the trip, and more than what they're recommending. So I believe if we recommend their request in full, it would be a very wise decision. I yield my time.
Thank you. Any other suggested dollar amounts? Seeing none, we'll go into voting procedure on the amount to be on the bill, starting with the full $1,500. All in favor, please raise your placards at this time. Seeing that is majority, this is the amount to be on the bill. Any other points or motions? Senator Reynolds.
Motion to approve this
There's been a motion to approve this question. Do we have any seconds? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed. Going into voting procedure on Senate Bill 1920-47. All in favor, please raise your placards at this time. All opposed. All abstained. This bill is passed. Any other points or motions? Senator Davies.
I move to bring Senate Bill 1920-48 to the Senate floor.
Thank you. Do we have any seconds? Vice President Brown, floor is yours.
This is the request from Outdoor Adventure Club, who have also spoken today, and I believe that we should be just as, I guess, willing to fund this organization as we are to fund the EMS organization, because I mean the training is for things that will facilitate student safety, and for that reason, it is my recommendation to fund the full amount of $550. I yield my time.
Thank you. Any other points or motions? Senator Davies.
I move to fill the blank.
There's been a motion to fill in the blank with what suggested dollar amount?
DPS recommendation of $550, and the rationale behind my recommendation is that it is very important for first aid for people going on these trips. There are hazards associated with the outdoors, and I believe in order to be, never mind, I yield my time.
Any other suggested dollar amounts? Senator Guerrero.
$825, even though it's about what they apply for, but since it's $550 for 2 persons, so it's $275 for each. I think it's gonna be more beneficial if we give them 3 persons, and then they can lock in more certifications for their club. And I open my time.
Thank you. Any other suggested dollar amounts? Senator Davies.
Just a point of information. During their presentation, they said that they were going to train 2 sophomores on the exec board. That way that they can give the most utility out of training. And they said that the only other sophomore on the exec board was already certified. So I believe giving them enough money to train another person would be a waste of resources. I yield my time.
Thank you. Senator Guerrero.
Motion to break the rule, I'll suspend the rule, talk to someone from the Outdoor Adventure Club, if that's alright.
There's been a motion to suspend the rules to talk to OEC. Do you have any seconds? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed to suspend the rules. There you go. All right. Any other suggested dollar amounts? Senator Davies.
I move to the previous question.
Seeing no other suggested dollar amounts, going into voting procedure for the amount to appear on the bill, starting with the full with Flo's recommendation of $825. All in favor, please raise your placards at this time. Seeing that is not majority, all in favor of $550, please raise your placards. Seeing that is majority, that is the amount to appear on the bill. Any other points of wishes? Senator Lamb.
Move to the previous question.
Thank you. There's been a motion to the previous question. Do we have any seconds? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed. Going into voting procedure on Senate Bill 1920-48. All in favor, please raise your placards at this time. All opposed. All abstained. This bill is passed. Any other points of motions? Senator Davis.
I move to adjourn.
There's been a motion to adjourn. Do we have any seconds? Do we have any seconds? There's a second. The Kuwaiti one is not coming tonight because they did not show up to the event. So we have a motion to adjourn. Do we have any seconds?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned. If you would like to stick around and talk more about our response